We need the poets and we need the painters, right? And we need the rogues, right? And we need the artists and we need the scientists and we need the prophets, right? Prophecy lives in us. Prophecy is the ability to catch the voice of the divine speaking, embracing, moving through me. It's the prophet. And in the sacred text, he writes, Ki imcha, with you is the light. And it goes like this. He says, for with you is the source of light. Ki imcha makor chayim, be'orcha nir'eh or. In your light, we see light. So I want to begin, with your permission, with first person, okay? Prayer. We're reclaiming prayer. Week 2, we're reclaiming prayer. We're integrating it into the fabric of our reality. And we've talked together based on the great lineage traditions in Kashmir Shaivism and Hebraic wisdom, the Zohar, for example, the 13th century book, which is called the Book of Radiance. It's in one of the really pillars of our system in our world, Kirsten Zohar, right? Her last name, she has 2 last names. One of them is Zohar, Radiance, right? And Kirsten is right with Peter for Easter right now. So Kirsten, we're sending you mad love. This notion of first person, second person, and third person, let's stay close, friends, as first principles and first values of reality. That's such a big sentence. First, second, and third person are literally first principles of reality. So what does first person mean? So first person means that you are the source of light, right? That light moves through you, right? That the eros of cosmos lives in you. Stay really close. You're not separate from the field. The field lives, individuates in you. You're a unique individuation beyond your egoic structures. You're a unique individuation of the field. We call that unique self, right? And our sister, Claire Molinaire, who's not with us today, she's on a plane, right, is actually starting a Unique Self Institute, right, as one of the expressions of the center, which is completely dedicated to this realization. So you're the source of light, okay? And the prophet, right? The great prophet. And remember, we're weaving together a new story. So we need to weave in the prophets. We need the poets and we need the painters, right? And we need the rogues, right? And we need the artists and we need the scientists and we need the prophets, right? Prophecy lives in us. Prophecy is the ability to catch the voice of the divine speaking, embracing, moving through me. And so the prophet, and in the sacred text, he writes, Ki imcha, with you is the light. And it goes like this. He says, for with you is the source of light. Ki imcha makor chayim, be'orcha nir'eh or. In your light, we see light. For with you is the source of light. In your light, we see light. And it goes like this. And I want to, with your permission, right, and sing it if there's someone with you, sing it to the person next to you. And I want to invite you to just hear reality singing this to you. This is your first person. This is your unique gift that we desperately need. For with you is the source of light. For with you is the source of light. Ki imcha mekor chawayim be'orcha nir'eh or. For with you he is the source of light. For with you he is the source of light. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. And if you feel it, right in the chat box, in your light, we see light. Hey, everybody, now we're ready together around the world. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. It's you. Hey, for it's you. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. Hey, in your light, we see light. Hey, everybody, now around the world. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. Hey, for with you, He is the source of light. Hey, in your light, we see light. Right? In your light, we see light. So you are the Christed one. You are Jesus the Christ. And if Christianity got one thing wrong, it got the limitation of Jesus to the Christ. Actually, you are the Christ, says the prophet. For with you is the source of light. Right? In your light, we see light. Right? You are an irreducibly unique expression of the love intelligence, the love light, the love beauty, right? The love desire of the field of infinity. That quite literally, mamash, we say in the original language, mamash, literally, ontologically, for realsies, lives truly in you, as you and through you. And as such, you have an irreducibly unique quality of gorgeous intimacy, a unique taste, a unique gift that you can gift to reality. And I want you to get the ontology of this. This is for real. It's not contrived. It's not made up. Right? This is true. An irreducibly unique gift that reality desperately needs, that only you in that particular way can speak and give into reality in a way that no one else that ever was, is, or will be can possibly do. Now, if you actually get that truth, right, then actually depression recedes, and then actually anxiety abates, then actually the looping into what happened yesterday and yesterday's fallen moments actually relaxes its hold, its grip on your psyche. Right? You actually create a completion and you actually leave yesterday behind. You actually realize that the greatest slave driver is the belief that yesterday determines today. And you step into the full infinity of this moment, which is desperately wanting and needing a divine need. Reality needs your service, needing you to love reality open in only the way that you can do it. For with you is the source of light. In your light, we see light, right? And your story is chapter in verse in the cosmorotic universe. Your amor, your love, and your loves, and your love life, and the personal nature of your particular loves are chapter in verse in the universal love story. You are a story, a chapter in reality, without which the plot line of the cosmos cannot find its direction. That's your first person. But notice, friends, that first person never lives with that second person, right? I don't know, is my friend, I'm going to check, is my friend Helma here? Helma, are you here? I don't know if Helma's here. Shati, I don't know if you know if Helma's here. So I'm going to ask, Helma, are you here? I don't know if Helma's here, my dear friend from Holland, but I want to share with you something that Helma and I were talking about the other day. We were studying, okay? I just want to share with you something. And Helma, this is for you. So Helma's just moved into, and I of course not share anything that's confidential. This is, public information. Helma just moved into a new apartment, which is fantastic, near Utrecht. right, in Holland. So we were talking the other day in a context that we call Holy of Holies, right? One-on-one deep study. Helma and I have been studying together for probably almost a decade. And we were talking about how to decorate the apartment because, we don't just do Aramaic text, we got to decorate apartments. And Helma was having like I do, like we all do, like a little sad moment. So I said, being, somewhat flip, F-L-I-P, meaning somewhat light, somewhat funny. I mean, it might not have been that funny, but it was my best attempt. But I meant it seriously. I said, Helma, reality loves you so much that reality actually sends you a rabbi, right? A rabbi who's now a post rabbi, or now a rabbi, priest, imam, hanging out, friend, spiritual friend, right? And that person's me, right? To actually meet with you every month for the last decade, to kind of do what we can to kind of be together and to love together and to study together and to find our way together. I said, so, I mean, actually, not this, you're not just getting taken care of, you're getting totally taken care of. And as a matter of fact, reality loves you so much that I was actually living, in the Middle East on a particular life trajectory, right? And reality shifted my whole life trajectory. Everyone with me, right? Reality shifted my whole life trajectory, and my entire biography changed in order for me to be able to, go to Salt Lake City for a while with my dear friends, Michael Zimmerman and Diane Hamilton, who's a Zen teacher, and lived there for a couple of years. And then Diane, right, was friends with this guy, Ted, right, who was living in a place called Van Woude, right, in Holland. And Ted was partnered with this woman, Shahat, right? And so I then came, are we watching this, everybody? Then I just came, right, to the festival, right, to the first, not the festival, to the first event. There was no festival. We did in 2010. And I remember when Diane and I were sitting in a room, and I remember when Shatu walked in late, right, to kind of say hi to everybody, right? And I met Helma. And now, wow, right? So I just want you to notice this. It's so wild and beautiful, because this is the way the intimate universe works. And the first person is completely integrated in the second person. So in other words, let's stay close. So all of reality is a love story. And first person means that every person's unique story matters infinitely, right? It matters infinitely, incandescently, right? Unimaginably, right? And any other adjective you can think of, throw in the chat box, because I'm out of adjectives. So anyone have any more adjectives in the chat box for how much this matters? Give me some adjectives. Totally. Give me a totally. What else do we got? Urgently, wildly. Help me out. Right, there we go. Exponentially. Thank you. Anybody else? We need a couple more adjectives. So freaking much. There we go. We got chat box. Thank you. When I'm out of a sentence, we're gonna have to do this together. And by the way, parentheses for a second, everybody. The chat box matters. When I do dialogues with my friend Andrew Cohen, and Andrew, I love Andrew. He doesn't like people in the chat box. He's trying to concentrate, which I totally honor. That's completely great. That's great. So mad bless that. But here, we love the chat box, okay? So everybody's in together. We're doing this together. We're a Unique Self Symphony. We're here together, right? This is not, right? There's no sage on the stage here, right? We're in this together, okay? So if I'm missing a word, fill it in, okay? Fill it in. Okay, so here we go. Just watch this. This is so crazy beautiful. So Helma has Helma's personal story and trajectory, right? And that matters so much that God's going to take Mark out of Israel to make sure to talk to Helma once a month. But in order for that to happen, Mark has his personal story, his trajectory. And this dude, Ted, who was born to an industrialist family, in Holland, has got his story, right? And his trajectory. You begin to get it? And then my friend Diane Musho Hamilton, who's the daughter of a lapsed Mormon, right, who's a Zen teacher, right? She's got her trajectory. And Mike Zimmerman, who's the Chief Justice of Utah, his trajectory, right? And then Shahat Kortan, right, kind of her trajectory. And all of those stories have their own independent, we're back in 2010 now, right? We're back in 2010, right? And that's how we come together, right? Because actually, right? Actually, and then there's a man named Willem Reich. I'm just going to kind of just expand the story just for fun. And Willem Reich, has a bunch of students, right? And one of his students starts something called core energetics, right? Perikos is his name. And then Perikos has another student named Stuart, who becomes the head of the Core Energetics Institute. And Stuart and Perikos are the mentors of a woman named, Dr. Christina Kincaid. And then Dr. Kincaid comes up with Stuart for a weekend that we're doing at Shalom Mountain, which is actually not a Jewish place, but it's called Shalom Mountain, where I've started this wisdom school, and then and all of a sudden how's this happening? And it's all of these separate stories. Right? Does everyone get that? Right? All of these separate stories are actually individuated stories, first person. These are all first person. Check, this is gorgeous. This is realization. They're all first person. Each of these stories has independent integrity. In each one of these stories, we can say, for with you is the source of light. In your light, we see light. Each of these stories is an infinite unique self, right? There's Christina Amelin. There she is, right? Her brother's just been killed in a car accident, right? That's her brother's story. But then that story ripples into her heart and soul. And then it just transfigures her in a certain way that allows her to actually find her way in a way that she might never have done. That doesn't explain the accident. It's just what's true. And she finds her way. And all of a sudden, there she is in Madison, Wisconsin, being this strange attractor of joy and light, right? And David, right? And for each of us, right? So we each have our independent stories. We're each first person, but here's second person. All of our stories are part of this larger love story in which we are all perfect subplots, perfect subplot lines, perfect co-stars in each other's drama and each other's story. In other words, if you connect, just imagine it through this unique self symphony. Literally, we are all co-stars in each other's story. We're all part of the actual thread of each other's story. And so while the stories seem to be independent, they're not. They're actually threaded together, right? And the notion that I'm just living my story, which I go to my therapist and I talk about, and I get in these recursive loops, in which I talk about how I've been victimized again and again and again and again, because I actually don't experience the love intelligence moving through my story, and how my story is actually inter-included and interdigitated literally with all those other stories. That's second person. No story stands alone, right? No story stands alone. There's no person who's a stranger living their own story by themselves. Terry Nelson's story is part of Mark's story, right? Lady Jacqueline's story, right, is part of Terry's story. Jamie's story is part of Sharmila's story, right? Does everyone begin to see, right? And it's, in other words, divinity is the great tailor of Eros. Like divinity is the great tailor of Eros, weaving together the strands, and we are strands. We are irreducibly unique strands. We're strands with infinite dignity. But we are strands in this larger weave, right? And we come together in magnificence when we realize this truth. There's no such thing as Ukraine. Putin was right about that, but there's also no such thing as Russia, right? And as the United States, yes, the strands matter. The strand of Ukraine matters and the strand of Russia matters, but actually what unites us is so much greater than that which divides us. We are weaves in this gorgeous tapestry of Eros, right? Of infinite, outrageous love that actually binds us together. We're one heart, we're one love. No story stands alone, second person. And that's what second person is. Second person is this realization that we're intimate together, right? It's not just one Jesus Christ, that we are a unique self symphony of Christ, and we've all been crucified. And who hasn't been crucified? Who hasn't experienced their own crucifixion? Can you tell me that there's one person? And is there one person in this conversation here today? And I want to ask you in the chat box, is there one person here who hasn't been crucified? Who hasn't been betrayed? Who hasn't been hurt? And who hasn't been shattered? Who hasn't cried? Right? And what Easter says is, oh my God, right? Is there one of us? Is there one person like that? Is there one who can claim, let the person step forth now who can claim never to have been crucified, right? And we're on our knees together, and we're always on our knees as we, right, before she. And what Easter says is that we're all resurrected together, right? See, no one's ever crucified alone, and no one's ever resurrected alone. We're resurrected when we come together. We're resurrected when we realize that we're actually a unique self symphony. And that unique self symphony is held by the common field of value. And the common field of value is value. Shared value creates shared story, which discloses the intimate universe. It's the field of intimacy. So just like God is the field of value, God is the field of intimacy, right? Right? God is ultimate value, eros, right? Is one of God's instantiations in this world. Eros is the instantiation of divinity in all dimensions of reality, moving towards greater wholeness. And that movement has value, right? Value means it's intrinsic. It has purpose. It has intrinsic dignity, intrinsic goodness, intrinsic truth, intrinsic beauty. So God's the field of value, but God's the infinity of value. Right? Value is not socially constructed. Value evolves, but that evolution takes place within the field of value. And the field of value is the field of intimacy. Right? And God is the infinity of intimacy that knows our name.